Hello there, this is AD Robles, and you're listening to AD on the Fight, Laugh, Feast Network. All right, everybody. I haven't done a Fight, Laugh, Feast podcast in a long time, and it's not on purpose. There's no conspiracy here. It's not that I'm not on the network anymore or anything like that. It's just been so busy, and I've forgotten to do Fight, Laugh, Feast specific content. And so, today seemed like a good day to rectify all that. Before we begin, let me just get into the World Series just one more time. Maybe I'll do it one more time because it looks like the Yankees are about to get swept, and they're just not good enough. It's as simple as that. The Yankees are not good enough. They've always been very top-heavy. The first three spots in the lineup have always been really good. But now it's not even the first three spots, it's the first two spots, and then for some reason the 4 spot is good, and the 3 spot is this gaping hole in the lineup when it comes to the playoff. Aaron Judge just isn't himself in the playoffs, and unfortunately, Aaron Boone, the manager, is not willing to shake up the lineup to change that. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, it's weird, and it's not what you would want. But you really need to move Judge in the lineup somewhere. Soto needs protection because right now there's no advantage to throwing Juan Soto any pitches, and so he sees so few strikes, and it just messes everything up. It's a rally killer, and I understand you got to ride with the people that got you there, but unfortunately, Judge he's just not himself in the playoffs, and maybe he'll figure it out. Maybe he will be tonight. Who knows? Because he could, sluggers can come out of it at any time. But it's not looking good. It's not looking good. The Dodgers they're not even hitting like a ton. They're hitting decently, the Dodgers, but they're hitting enough. Their pitching is dominant, and the Yankees are they're just absent, unfortunately. And the Dodgers defense, man, you love to see this. Baseball people love this. Not casual baseball fans probably don't like this that much when the games are not won with, lots of hitting. But the Dodgers are winning with defense. Their defense has been completely crisp. And, baseball fans, you love to see it. But anyway, let's move on from baseball. I want to get right to this episode today. And I'm not going to put a whole lot of effort into this, although I did a little bit of research for this podcast, and that's not the norm, you know what I mean? I figured I'd do a little bit of research, and the reason why is because Eschatology Matters, a podcast that I love, and I love the guys over there. I've been on that podcast. They're friends. Eschatology Matters are friends. And they're also on the network. They're on the Fight, Laugh, Feast network. So I'm not, a kingdom against itself, a house against itself, divided against itself cannot stand. Learned that from some book. I don't remember exactly which book in the book I learned it from, but it's somewhere. It's somewhere in there. So I'm not trying to throw shade at Eschatology Matters or being, the Fight, Laugh, Feast network, none of that kind of thing. But I figured since the Fight, Laugh, Feast network put this out, I wanted the Fight, Laugh, Feast network to kind of correct the record as well. You know what I mean? This was one of the worst inaugural podcasts I've ever heard of in my entire life. I said yesterday, I watched the Tobias. I don't know his last name, and I don't really care that much. He's a pastor in Germany. I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm sure he's got great things to say. I'm sure he's a good teacher. I'm not trying to throw shade at any of that. But this podcast inauguration, the first of its kind, was such a downer. What a buzzkill. I mean, I cannot think. Like I said yesterday, if you're going to do an episode like this, you got to ease into it. You know what I mean? Put some good, positive content out there. And then, kind of ease into it, get your practice swings. Judge can't hit without warm-up swings. He still takes his warm-up swings. He can't hit with the warm-up swings either, but, you got to start somewhere. But anyway, get your warm-ups in and then put out this episode. But no, this is what he wanted to do. He wanted to swing for the fences right off the bat without warming up, without stretching, none of that. He just went for it, and it was awful. Now, let me say this. I did not watch the whole thing, so maybe some of it was really good. But as a whole, it was really sad. And now I have watched a few extra parts than I had yesterday, because what happened yesterday was I wasn't planning on watching it at all, But I saw it was premiering, it was live, so I was like, let me pop over to the chat, because the chat of a video like this that's against Joel Webbon, that's what this is all about. It's against Joel Webbon. It's all about how Joel Webbon's an evil guy, whatever. Anyway, so I figured, an episode like this, against Joel Webbon, it's got to be popping off in the chat, you know what I mean? So I went into the chat, and it was all right. I mean, there wasn't that many people watching it, so there wasn't like a ton going on in the chat, but it was decent. I had a few laughs in the chat. But anyway, as I was in the chat trying to see what was going on, I overheard a couple parts of the episode, and it was all of the section that I listened to, and maybe the whole podcast was, I don't know, it was 2 hours long. I've seen at this point maybe 15 minutes of it, and then another clip. So less than 20 minutes for sure I've seen of this now. But all the parts that I saw were all designed to try to get you to think that Joel Webbon is some kind of covert Nazi, covert anti-Semite. He's not anti-Semitic directly, but he's radicalizing the youth. You know what I mean? He really is anti-Semitic, and he's using their talking points, and he's radicalizing the youth. That was the whole point. Like, Joel Webbon is a crypto Nazi, essentially, is what the point is. And like, honestly, we don't need this right now. I mean, obviously, Joel Webbon is getting it from every direction at this point. And so Tobias, in all of his wisdom, decided that this was a good time for me to do this. Well, whatever. Anyway, what he was doing was Joel Webbon, in one of his videos, had said that Israel has the largest gay pride parade year after year. And that was, one of his talking points about how, Israel is not a good nation. It's an evil nation, which is indisputably true that they are an evil nation. That is indisputably true. But what Tobias decided to do was he said, well, he's going to nitpick this. He's going to, I did my research. I don't know where you got your numbers. That's a horrible accent. I like his accent, actually. And so he pulls out these statistics about how actually, Israel is Tel Aviv is the 48th biggest gay pride parade. And he pulls out these numbers. He says, I did a little bit of research myself, so I'm ready to go. He says that New York City's gay pride parade is 5 million, which I don't know where he got that number, because I looked it up myself, and I found all kinds of different numbers, but the number that kept coming up was around 2.5 million. But whatever, no big deal. I don't really care. This is all irrelevant anyway. They have a big gay pride parade. That's the point. But whatever, let's just continue. And then he says San Francisco has one. That's 1 million people. Sao Paulo is taking the cake here with 5.5 million, according to Tobias. And I was able to confirm that number, kind of. Like, there's still a lot of these numbers are all estimates, and there's a lot of propaganda here. This is the other thing that when I was hearing this, I was thinking, like, all of these gay pride parade numbers, they're full of propaganda, and everyone wants to be the best and the biggest gay pride parade. That's sad in itself, but Tobias is taking this as gospel. This is the truth here. And then Tel Aviv only has a paltry 250,000 attenders of their gay pride parade. And so his point was, it's not even close to the biggest. So obviously the only explanation can be that Joel Webbon is a secret anti-Semite, a covert crypto anti-Semite, radicalizing the youth, evil man, totally evil. That was the point of this section of the podcast. That's what Tobias went with his inaugural opening statement. Unbelievable. So when I was thinking about this, and I heard, Tobias's numbers, the first thought that I had was, this is so irrelevant. What's the point? Like, are you seriously quibbling with the numbers of the gay pride parades to prove that Israel is somehow a great country? No, it's not that they're a great country, AD. You see, it's just that they're not that bad. And if you think they're that bad, then you're a covert anti-Semite, and you're maybe a crypto Nazi. Who knows? That was the point. But it's all irrelevant nonsense anyway. But the only explanation he could come up with, this is covert anti-Semitism. Now, because I don't hate Joel Webbon automatically, by the way, this is not Tobias. This is Kdub, who blocked me today because we'll talk about that in a minute. This is Kdub, the rapper Kdub. He also hates Joel Webbon. It's just pathetic. You decide who you hate, and then you just, whatever. But Anyway, so the only explanation could be, though, that because Joel is wrong about this, it's the 48th biggest gay pride parade, not the biggest, that he must be a covert anti-Semite. Well, because I don't hate him automatically, and in fact I like Joel Webbon, full disclosure, I thought, I put on my thinking cap, this is my thinking cap, the Puerto Rico thinking cap. I said, I wonder why Joel could be so off, according to Tobias, of course. Let's just take Tobias's information at face value, right? Because I could quibble with the numbers, but what's the point, right? Let's just take it for what it is. What could Tobias is on my screen over here. That's why I keep pointing over here. What could possibly be going on here? So I thought to myself, I wonder if Joel maybe, I haven't talked to Joel about this, but I'm just thinking this through. What if he's just talking about the size of the parade relative to the size of the city? I wonder. So I did the numbers. I did my calculations. Here they are. And I did some quick math. I used a calculator, of course, because math is not my strong suit. And I pulled up New York City, 2.5 million attenders of the Gay Pride Parade, compared to 8.25 million population. It's roughly about 30% of their population, if you do the numbers. And then I did Sao Paulo. That was the biggest one, the big parade, the big gay Brazil. Sao Paulo. 5.5 million attenders. That sounds really bad. Much more than the paltry sum of Tel Aviv, 250,000. Much more. But the problem is Sao Paulo has a population of almost 11.5 million. That's only 44% of their population. Let's take a look at Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv has a population of 475,000. And yet, 250,000 attend the Gay Pride Parade, according to Tobias' own numbers. That is over half the population. So I started thinking to myself, maybe he was talking about the size of the Gay Pride Parade relative to the size of the city. He would be right, except I forgot about one. I forgot about San Francisco. In San Francisco, according to the latest census, San Francisco proper has a population of 800,000. Now, I understand San Francisco's a weird city because Oakland is right there, another big city in and of itself, another maybe 800,000, maybe 1 million people. And then, of course, there's San Rafael and the whole area. In fact, on LinkedIn, when I'm recruiting in the San Francisco area, I can't just put San Francisco because there's so few people that live there. I just got to put the whole Bay area where everyone kind of commutes to San Francisco. But I just said, you know what? Let's just leave it. San Francisco proper. They have 1 million attendees of the Gay Pride Parade, only 800,000 citizens. So that's over 100% of their population. So I guess, maybe it's still wrong. 50% of the population for Tel Aviv's Gay Pride Parade, still a pretty big number. It's not the 48 that Tobias was scandalized by. Maybe it's number 2 on the list, but it's not number 1. Joel is still wrong, and that can only mean one thing. He's a crypto-Nazi, of course. Covert anti-Semitic, of course. And then I started thinking to myself, I wonder, this is what I wonder. What if Joel was thinking per capita just based on the entire population of the nation, of the country of Israel? I wonder what would happen. And I did my math, and Israel has a population of around 9.5 million. U.S. has a population of 335 million, and Brazil, Sao Paulo itself, the gayest country around, has 212 million. And if you do the math of the Gay Pride Parade, the biggest parade in the nation, and you do the math compared to the nation's population, guess what? Out of those 3, Israel comes in first. Now, I don't really care about any of these numbers because, you might be able to find, Spain has a small population and has a bigger gay pride parade. I don't care about any of this because this is all irrelevant anyway. But the point is that there are potentially other explanations for why Joel could be wrong about Israel having the biggest gay pride parade that does not involve him being actually a secret Jew-hating anti-Semitic Nazi. I don't know. Call me crazy. Call me crazy. There might be other explanations. I also thought of another one. One of the propaganda pieces for Tel Aviv Pride says it's the largest gay pride parade in all of the Middle East and Asia. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they say. It's the largest one on that continent. Maybe it's true. Maybe it isn't. Doesn't matter. None of these explanations are obviously forced. Well, I guess he's a crypto-Nazi. I mean, obviously. None of this matters. None of this matters. They have a big gay pride parade. That's something they're proud of. It's... You gotta just like throw your hands up in the air sometimes and just say like, what is your problem? What is your problem? That's what I want to know. What is your problem? So anyway, that's the part that I listened to, and then there was a section about how another evidence of Joel being a crypto Nazi. This was right before the gay pride stuff, so I caught the tail end of this, and it was basically like, well, yeah, sure. The Jewish books definitely say that Jesus is boiling right now in a vat of excrement. They definitely say that, but I mean, nobody believes that. The Jews don't believe that. It's not. They don't believe it. So so you're anti-Semitic for pointing it out. It's unbelievable. Like this is just, it's so ridiculous. Again, this is the worst inaugural episode. I hope that there's better things to come. I'm not calling for Tobias to be kicked off the Fight Laugh Feast network. I'm not at all. I'm sure he's got a lot of good things to say, but this inaugural episode was just a swing and a miss. You know what I mean? Sometimes this happens. You've got a good, like, promising young pitcher in the minor leagues in AAA, and he comes out to the big leagues for the first time, and he throws a dud. I mean, it happens all the time, and then his career goes on to be great. He ends up being a strikeout, shut-him-down pitcher, but his first foray into the big leagues was just a swing and a miss. It happens. It happens, and I'm just going to hope and assume that Tobias's grand entrance into the Fight Laugh Feast network is going to go a lot better than his opening day did. It's as simple as that. Look, the Mets lost on opening day too, and then they ended up in the NLCS. So hey, there's hope for anybody. There's hope for anybody. Oh man, and here's another good one. This one actually kind of made me a little bit less enthused about the future of Tobias on the Fight Laugh Feast network. This was shared by Chris Kdub. Chris Kdub shared this, and he hates Joel very much. And this was like his man, look at how evil Joel is. He could have this guy, share this meme with these awful views. And look, Joel didn't tell the whole story. It wasn't just the meme. It's not just a meme. There's so much evil behind this guy. He should be excommunicated. How could someone be allowed in good standing in a church with views such as this? And he shared this video. I want you to listen to this, okay? This is from Kdub's. I had to open it in a different screen here because he blocked me for pointing this out. But that's okay. That's okay, Kdub. It's fine. It's fine. I have other means of getting this information out. So here's Chris Kdub. He quotes, Corey Mahler is an evil man. This brother from Joel Webbon's church quoted Mahler, saying, quote, interracial kids are like feces, end quote. Sounds like he's not kidding. And, as a father of half white, half Puerto Rican sons, I love my sons. This is an outrage. It really is. It's an outrage. And then he goes on and says, why is someone like this protected and allowed to be in good standing in a church with views like this? And he shares this video clip. Let's listen to it because it sounds serious.
Mainly from a podcast called Stone Choir.
Oh, yeah. This is good stuff. Like, you got to love his accent. You really do. He's got the accent to be taken seriously automatically. Like, that is such an advantage when you're doing this kind of stuff, when you're doing a podcast. If you've got the accent to be taken seriously, you could say the most outlandish, wild stuff, and people are going to, they're going to notice. So I appreciate that about Tobias. And I'm not even kidding. I'm not even joking. Let's continue.
They did a 3 hours documentary with wanting to prove that the Holocaust never happened and the Nazis were actually good guys just defending themselves. Well, I listened to the 3-hour podcast.
I did not.
It is nothing else than Nazi propaganda. It's full of lies. It's full of falsehood. And those two guys doing this podcast, especially Corey Mailer, he is an evil man.
Okay, so I don't listen to the Stone Choir podcast, never have. I'm actually blocked by one of these guys. And maybe I'm wrong on this. Is woe to those who dwell upon the earth? Is he one of the Stone Choir guys? I think he might be. But I'm blocked by him, and I don't remember why. I don't know why I'm blocked by him, but I am for some reason. And maybe someone could figure it out. And Corey Mahler, I don't follow. I mean, I know of him. I know some of his opinions. Just not my cup of tea. No big deal. But anyway, it would be nice if I could take Tobias's word for it, that it's just Nazi propaganda. You know what I mean? It's just nothing more than Nazi propaganda. It would be nice if I could take Tobias's word for it. And I kind of want to, too, because I really like the Eschatology Matters guys, and I don't think that they are bad guys or have evil intent or anything like that. I want to take Tobias's word for it, but the problem is he then says stuff like this.
He is satanic. He is a true racist. He has things on his X account. I don't even want to say this. Let me just tell you one thing, because this brother from Joel's church quoted Corey Mailer saying, well, interracial kids are like feces. I don't know if you think, well, that's no problem. He's fine. He's good. I don't think so.
Okay. So he says Corey Mahler's evil. He's satanic. I want to take your word for it, Tobias. And then he says, as an example, again, to get Joel, he wants to really stick it to Joel. He says, this guy from Joel's church shared this quote from Corey Mahler saying interracial kids are like feces. I don't know. I mean, if you think that's fine, no big deal. All right. But obviously the implication is that that's what Joel believes. Joel believes that's no big deal. No big deal at all. And they're spreading this as if this guy is just as evil as Corey Mahler. Take my word for it, by the way, because, you just have to. He's not going to. I don't even want to say it. Tobias, I'd love to take your word for it, but here's the problem with this. You use this as an example to really stick it to Joel. And here's the situation. As you can see, I'm blocked. This is a tweet in response to the video I just showed you. I'm blocked now, whatever. Here's what happened with this tweet about feces. Joel Webbon, he says, I just received this text from this member in my church. Quote, Tobias says I texted him Corey's quote about interracial kids being feces, when I actually texted it to him to show him an example of how Joel cautioned me about it. Not because I agreed with the quote. This is so twisted, end quote. And so this quote was shared by this member in Joel's church to Tobias. If you took Tobias's word for it, which I'm sorry, after seeing this kind of thing, and then of course the gay pride stuff, it's just more icing on the cake for me. I don't take your word for it, Tobias. I simply don't. I don't believe you. Whatever you said about Stone Choir, maybe it's dead on, but you have not earned my automatic belief on things like this. You just haven't. Because when he showed you this tweet, what he's saying here is I showed him this as an example to say, hey, Joel actually warns me about stuff regularly, and here's an example. He warned me about this tweet about interracial kids are like feces. Tobias presents it as Joel doesn't believe this is a big deal. In fact, look at this awful tweet this awful quote that he shared. Now, Tobias doesn't say he definitely agrees with it, but that's how it's being presented here. No big deal. And then, of course, Kdub, like a dutiful little puppy. Oh, Joel's so evil. Can you believe it? Like, can you believe? Like, why is he protected? Like, why is this guy allowed to be in the church? He should be excommunicated. Chris, man, I don't know you that well. We've talked. But, dude, what the heck is your problem? Why be this way? He presents it in the exact opposite way that it was meant to be taken. And then all to throw shade at Joel Webbon and to tell you that he's a secret Nazi and a secret anti-Semite and that he's radicalizing young kids. He takes a quotation that's intended to talk about the opposite of what you're presenting it to be. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And then Chris, he blocked me here, so I can't show you this, and I don't really feel like, getting into my other account to show you. But then he's like, "Oh, okay, Joel, you're the victim. You're always the victim." It's like, no, I'm not the victim. I'm just saying, like, what actually happened is the opposite of what you're saying. It's the opposite. What am I supposed to do about this? I provided information that conveys the exact opposite of what you tweeted. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to just stay still so you can get a few more swings in? Seeking to exonerate yourself when something is false is not playing the victim. Worst inaugural episode ever. And I'm not saying that it's all false. I've listened to 20 minutes out of 2 hours. So maybe in the rest of it, the other hour and 40 minutes, it's just pearls of wisdom. And you could just gorge at the pearls of wisdom that Tobias has for you. Go for it. I'm not telling you not to do it. Go for it. But the 20 minutes I listened to went basically exactly like this. Joel is a secret Nazi, a secret anti-Semite. Here's all the dog whistles. Let me show you because I'm Tobias and I know. And you should trust me. You should trust me. Well, sorry, Tobias, you gotta earn trust around here. It's as simple as that. Now, you've got some pointers in your background, or in your corner. You've got some good check marks, in my opinion, in your corner. You're on the Eschatology Matters podcast. You get that point. That's a point for you on your side. You're on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. That's a point for you on your side. But your inaugural episode, I'm sorry, that's a big L. That's a big lopsided L. It's a long series. It's a long series. I'm not saying that you're not going to have anything good to say. I'm not saying anything like that. But this dude is pathetic. Like, you want me to believe you about Stone Choir? Then you got to earn the trust. And unfortunately, with the stuff, I don't know about Stone Choir. But with the stuff I do know about, like in this video and in the gay pride stuff, it seems petty. It seems weak. It seems pathetic. It's so obvious that you've got an axe to grind with Joel for whatever reason, and you're just going to throw out everything but the kitchen sink. It doesn't matter what's really the case. Joel is a secret, covert, crypto anti-Semite. Those words used to have power. They just don't anymore. You know what? And the thing is, I'm on the Fight Laugh Feast channel. And one of the main reasons that I am is because I've recognized that these kinds of clobber words that have been used for a long time, they don't have the power that they used to. We can talk about this like adults. We really can. It's as simple as that. I think my DMs are open. You probably know people that can talk to me. I don't know anything about you, Tobias. I've got no axe to grind with you. I'm not telling anyone not to listen to you. What I am saying, though, is that this kind of stuff, we don't need this right now. We don't need this. But hey, if you think it's going to work for you, just go ahead and slay. It's all good. It's all good from over on this side of the Fight Laugh Feast Network. In any case, I hope you found this video helpful. Hold on there. Hold on. Just 1 second. There was one more thing that I forgot to talk about. And that's the very beginning of this. This is how Tobias frames the entire podcast. It's not about his reputation. It's more about the danger of anti-Semitism and Joel's a Nazi, all this stuff. But this is how he begins this podcast. And this is where, honestly, like I said, I didn't pop in at this point. I popped in much later. But somebody told me about this, and I had a hard time believing it, to be perfectly honest with you. But this is what he says to start the whole thing. All right, let's see.
So let's jump in. We will first listen to the beginning of the video and see what this video, Joel did, what this video is all about. So let's see.
Yeah, let's see. Let's do it.
So a member in my church shared a meme about the Holocaust. And, as you may have seen online, some notable pastors publicly put some pressure on him, as well as me, to actually put him under church discipline.
Okay, so that is the topic of this entire show. A member of Joel's church shared a meme about the Holocaust, and several notable pastors, we can name them, Doug Wilson and James White, they put pressure on this man and on Joel as his pastor to put this man under church discipline. Well, that never happened. Out. That's not true. So this is the entire
Okay. So, well, let's hear him out.
Of this episode, that we wanted to force him publicly, put pressure on him, force him to put this man under church discipline. And I tell you, that's not what I said. That's not what Doug said. James said something in this direction, but it wasn't even really directed to Joel. And I agree completely with James. And
okay, so this is his big thing, right? Nobody said this. Nobody put pressure on Joel to excommunicate this guy. You know, that's not what I said. I mean, nobody's even heard of you, Tobias, before this. That's not true. That's a little mean. That's a low blow. I hadn't heard of him, but that's not everybody. Not everybody's as crazy as me. Doug didn't put pressure on you. And then he goes, James said something kinda to that effect, but it wasn't about you. I remember this, and chances are some of you guys remember this. This is amazing to me that Tobias can say this with a straight face. And maybe it's I'm not gonna go there. Not gonna go there. This is amazing to me. Now, I really don't want to waste too much more time on this, so I'm not going to find the clip of James White doing this, but here's the quotations. If you watch The Dividing Line, maybe you remember. About this issue, about the meme, the Holocaust joke meme. James White said, and I quote, "A man who shared this meme and finds it funny should be put under church discipline." Later, James said, "And if the elders won't do it, you should leave that church." And then later he said, "And don't make me name names, because I will." Now, listen, I know these aren't technical terms, you know, we're not in a courtroom, we're not lawyers trying to lawyer each other. But that's pretty straightforward. That sounds like pressure to me. Don't make me name names, because I will. That's a threat. That's pressure on Joel Webbon. He's saying this meme grounds for church discipline. That's insane in itself. But let's just give it to him. Grounds for church discipline, and if the elders won't do it, leave the church and don't make me name names, because I will. I happen to know that thanks to James White's pressure, that some people have left Joel's church, citing Dr. White. And so maybe I'm getting red meat to these guys, because it seems like that's what they want. They want to destroy Joel Webbon's influence in ministry. That's what it seems like to me. Now maybe it's not. And I'm not putting this on Doug Wilson, because Doug Wilson's pressure was a little different. It wasn't as direct. James White's was very direct. And even Tobias himself, like, it's almost like he's embarrassed to say this. He's like, that never happened. That never happened. Well, James, he said something, it was kind of like, but it wasn't directly. And if you don't hear the quotations, don't make me name names because I will. If you don't hear that part and you're just taking Tobias's word for it, you think Joel Webbon's a lunatic. This wasn't it. This wasn't it. I look forward to the glorious future of the Tobias podcast on Eschatology Matters, brought to you by Fight Last Feast Network. I look forward to the glorious future, but this is pretty bad start. You know what I mean? And like I said, look, the Mets had a bad April too. You know what I mean? They started the season in the dregs. It was rock bottom. Nobody came to the games. It was brutal, absolutely brutal. And they turned it around. It's a long season. It's a long season for the Eschatology Matters Tobias special. But let's just hope that it turns around, much like the New York Mets. You know what I mean? Maybe we need to have a players-only meeting. That's how the Mets turned it around. They were 11 games under 500. Francisco Lindor, the captain of the team, calls a team players-only meeting. Maybe we should just have a players-only meeting to see how we can turn this around, because Tobias, this was a very poor first effort. I'm sure you're a nice guy, and like I said, we know mutual people. You can get my contact information and reach out to me all you want. It's okay. That's totally fine. Now, I'm a reasonable guy. You can talk to me. You can tell me why Joel is the biggest crypto Nazi of all time, and maybe you've got some good stuff, and maybe even presented it here. But with the stuff that I've seen, and like I said, only 20 minutes, but out of the stuff that I've seen, it was all so bad that I have no desire to watch the rest of the stuff. Maybe I can slog my way through it. Maybe I should. Maybe I'll slog my way through the 2-hour special. But I got to be honest with you, I don't have high hopes for it. In any case, I hope you found this podcast helpful. Don't forget to tune in next week on AD on the Fight Laugh Feast Network.
Mi amor por